So we are really lucky today to have Dr. Cheryl Wilen from UC IPM come all the way here to talk about some of the work she's been doing on steam weeding in light of the Roundup restrictions and so forth that we've been seeing the past couple years. So I think I said it in the email, the technology's been around a long time, but there are some new gizmos out there and we want to know how well they work. And so that's why we have Cheryl here to tell us.
Yeah, so I was asked to give a little presentation about what's going on with this steam weeding work that I've been doing, or steam weeder. So the background for this was that the Department of Pesticide Regulation wanted me to essentially do some demonstrations for school sites because of the Healthy Schools Act. The schools don't want to use pesticides if they don't have to around school sites, and a lot of times herbicides are used in many different ways, whether they're keeping weeds out of cracks or in the playing fields or just around different places. And they said, look, here's a tool that perhaps it can work, but you really need somebody to really sort of get out there and look at it before school starts spending a lot of money and then deciding that it's really not going to be worth their time. So this is the one. So there's two companies really that have what I consider viable machines. One is this company called Weedtechnics, and they make this type of steamer. Although this is the smallest one. This is the baby steamer, and they've got bigger ones that you can attach, like mount on a truck, and they have water tanks and everything. But because of the limitations that I have on where I'm going to store things and whether I can put things on a truck or not, I couldn't permanently mount it. I got this one. It's called the SW, which I assume stands for Steam Weeder 700, which means it's really now more of a commercialized machine that they're selling, and I think people are picking up on it. It weighs 500 pounds, okay? So what I have to do for this one, that's a good question. You mind if I kind of go off on it? I mean, I can really just like talk about some of the things that we found, and this is a good picture to just kind of show that, just to begin with. So like I said, there's some that you can mount on a truck, so this comes out of Australia, okay? So all the technology comes out of Australia, but there's a company in Fresno that actually puts everything together that they don't need from Australia. So like for example, let's try this. I feel like the hand of God doing that. So this comes from Australia, this comes from Australia, this comes from Australia. The motor, and the pump, everything, that's just like a big Briggs & Stratton motor. Okay, so they can just get that anywhere. The pressure, this is the boiler for the hot water. I think they might have to get that from Australia. But anyway, so it kind of saves some money by not having a lot of things that have to be imported. And like I said, so this place in Fresno puts it together. Really, really good customer service. Like if I have any problem, I call them up and they're right there and they're like, hey, you know what? We can drive there tomorrow if you need something. We can get it going. So on that end, quite good. So yeah, and they'll sell it to you whatever you want. If you want a big tank for water, they can put a big tank on the truck. If you want, something like this, they can do that. So you can just have that sit there. This one's direct connect to a water source. Okay, so I've got a hose, like a regular garden hose, and I can have the hose as long as I want it. It can be 400 feet, okay? And then there's another hose that goes from the tank to the wand, okay? And that can be like 100 feet. So you really get, if you really wanted to, you could have like 400 feet worth. Yes, there's three things actually proprietary. One is the heads. Yes. Okay, so they're actually made pretty fine-tuned. Like they made 5 liters per minute of water. They hold the heat in there, and there's special ways to connect it and so forth, so you don't, for safety issues. Okay, so they don't blow off. So there's that. They'll make that. But the key about this is it's not just water heated to 212 to boiling, it's actually heated to 250, okay, and it's higher pressure. So that's the key to this one that makes it a little bit more effective than just a high pressure. In fact, this water, when it comes out, it's not really that high a pressure. It's not like blowing like if you had that, you'd be like, it's more of a mechanical thing. Like if you want to weeds out of a crack, that high pressure thing could just like go bzoop, like that, way out of there, which is fine, actually, in my opinion, So, yeah, but this really is just the super hot water. So I had a school district, and we were watching a demo of this. We had the company come in. And so this is $11,000, and he was saying that he just spent $8,000 just on the chemicals, okay? And that's a one-time thing. So, if you're going to amortize this over 4 or 5 years, actually it comes out, cheaper in the long run. All right, so here's the situation in action. So what we did, we started out, so you can see this hose here. So this is this is insulated hose on the outside. It's kind of like a fire hose. Inside of that is a hose that's kind of, are you familiar with PEX? You know, it's about a 1/2-inch tube. It's kind of this, so it's about like that same kind of diameter, but it's a different material. It's a high temperature hose because what's coming through there, like I said, is 250 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's kind of high temperature. So that's inside that other hose. You can hold that hose, okay? You can hold it with your hand, okay? It'll just feel warm. But if you go and touch the place now, okay, so let me get up here. So between like right here and where the, you know, the nozzle trigger is, that can get hot, pretty hot. And so we recommend that people wear gloves when they use it. You don't need like fancy gloves, just sort of like a gardening glove is usually enough there. So yeah, so that's all like that. He's got a trigger, he holds that. The hot steam comes out of here, okay? And then he's able to just like go place to place with that, okay? And he can go pretty fast actually.
Low volume is not that
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you asked that too. It's 5 liters per minute. About the third time of doing this, I got a little meter, water meter, and it used 50 gallons, okay, in about a half an hour, I think is about the time. Yeah, okay. He's able to do that while kids are playing in a playground, okay, which you can't do even with the organic herbicides. So in that case, you don't really have to worry about the timing of it. You know, you can't say, oh, I got to do this before 6 a.m. before people start playing or anything like that because I don't want exposure. It's like you can do this any time of the day. Yeah. So it's not an issue. Although I have to say, strictly water. Straight steam. Yeah, right on. Hose, tank, nozzle. No foam. None at all. In fact, they don't want people to add anything to the tank. Okay, because some people say, oh, you know, can I add a little bit of herbicide in there? Or can I add some? And I'm like, no, they don't want to. They don't want. In fact, people started asking us, you know, in this park, you know, because they'd never seen anything like this. And they're like, what are you doing? Are you putting herbicide in there? Like, no, it's just water. We actually had to make a little sign because we were like running out of time. People kept asking us. So we just put a sign that said, we're killing weeds with steam. And so, yeah, that helped a lot, actually. Okay, so here's some places where we've used it. This is, okay, so we started out in July, and so here's Guy just going along the line here, okay, which worked out really well, you know, if you want a nice clean edge along there. And you can see what happens. I think this was the week after, okay, so that's the kind of effect you get. And that holds up for about 2 weeks. Okay, so if that's what you're going for, it's pretty nice, you know, along fence lines and so forth. That's what the top. And then here's another place that's around a, you know, a baseball field. We have that. So you can see, you know, the length is the head, okay? He's got the head turned perpendicular to the wall for the most part. Here he's got it parallel to the wall, but that's how wide you can get it. So you can get it, you know, like 6 inches to the width of that head, or you can go as far as 12 inches of the head. I think we've got a 12-inch head, or 24 inches, depending what you're looking for. You're going to be treating in that situation. The playground. So what we did initially, so we treated it, okay, so we did a first treatment at the end of July, and we came back 1 week later and treated again. So this is what it looked like. So it's this edging right here. This is what I want you to look at. So right along there. Okay, so we did the edging along the playground perimeter. After that, we found that we could actually wait a little bit longer. Okay, so again, this is around a picnic table that was on a cement pad. And so this is what it looked like at the beginning. So this is just starting. And so what Guy's doing right here is he's got the head, you can see, perpendicular to the pad. And then here it is, 731. Okay, so this is the next, oh, let's see, 7. So we did 831 1 week. So this is like 3 weeks after the second treatment. Okay, so we just did the end of July, did it a week later, so that'd be 8/4, and then a month later is what it looks like. And really super good edging. Right? This is another site. This was kind of interesting. I'm not sure what's going on, but this was Bermuda grass, okay, or it is Bermuda grass. And you know, typically perennials don't, you know, they will regrow, okay. But for some reason, you know, this is a really nice patch of Bermuda grass over a, you know, mulch area, which is kind of growing in there. We have not had to retreat that, you know, over like, well, maybe once, okay? And So again, I'm not really sure what's going on. I'm not sure if I can actually attribute it to the steam, but for some reason we get very little regrowth of the Bermuda grass at this site. It might be that because it's in the mulch, maybe the rhizomes and stolons are more
This
shallow.
is where
This type of equipment might shine, okay, is in controlling weeds in cracks like this, okay? So this is it with the shower head, okay? So this applicator here, he can just, you have to hold it about this high. What I've seen people do when they are using this, they actually have a tendency to hold it higher, okay? And you really have to be careful if you do get this to train your applicators, they really need to hold it about this high off the ground, okay? Because the higher up it is, the more heat you're going to lose as it goes down. You want to maximize that heat, but you don't want it right on. You don't want it like this far because then you would lose a lot of your efficiency because your spray swath, if you want to call it, it's only going to be like this big. So this is like the sweet spot, this length. Okay, so you can see how he's holding it, and he's able to just walk at pretty much a normal pace along there. And with that shower head, you get more targeted control. This is actually the inventor here, Jeremy Weiner. But what he actually says in a situation like this, that's best, is you get a string trimmer out there and you trim out all this other stuff and blow it away beforehand. Okay, and then you hit it with the sprayer to pick up the rest. It looks good, okay? Don't worry if you don't get 100% control because you're just looking at essentially that threshold, what people will accept. So by doing the trimming, that reduces a lot of the, what it looks as bad, and then following it up with the spraying helps just the appearance, okay? Yeah, okay. So we did a trial in a parking lot as well, and so here's Guy. First he's trimming the weeds, and then we're going to come back and hit it with the steamer. So this is what we had. This was I think 2 weeks after we did it. So here's just the steaming, okay, and you can see up here this is we had some good cracks in there, and so you can see a little bit of regrowth at the top left-hand side of this one. Trimming alone didn't really do it, so because it's a test, so we're just doing comparison like if you just trimmed. And so you can see this was Bermuda grass coming back in there. So that really didn't do it. And this is trimming plus steam in this replication. So you can see we've got pretty much 100% control. You can kind of see what I call like weed carcasses in there. So and actually that's something that you might consider or worry about a little bit. I don't know if worry is the right word, but you're still going to have like the dead weed parts there. Okay, so it's not going to be beautiful. You're still going to have dead plants. So again, that might be a reason why you might want to trim first, because otherwise you still just get a mound of leaves and dead leaves and so forth on there. So yeah, so trimming plus steam, that seems to work okay, but if you don't want to do that extra effort, I think if we started running statistics on this, that steam will probably be just about the same.